Let's see. What's up, YouTube and Instagram now? Let's see what happens with this. Is my mic actually working? Let's see. Yeah, I'll be damned. I think it's working. So anyways, just thought I'd hop on here and chit chat just a little bit so I can give other people an opportunity to hop in on the hey, what's up, Darlene? How you doing? You're actually my first now I got to type on both things here. This is exciting. You're actually my first guest, not guest, but viewer. There we go. You're my guest viewer or my first guest viewer. There we go. uh, so I'll just respond. Actually, really cool. I don't know. A lot of people don't know this, but I did podcasting when COVID first started. I launched two podcasts. One was called The Virus, which is kind of relative to the virus and COVID-19 and all that. And the other one was called The Dynamic Duo Podcast, was with me and my daughter, where we were just pretty much, at that time she was about 5. And so we do all kinds of stuff, just kind of go over some books and things that she talked, her toys and stuff like that. We would drink tea. We drink a new tea on the podcast as well. So I kind of miss doing that. And so does she. She keeps telling me like, Dad, we should start that podcast back up. And so I kind of miss podcasting. And since I've been doing, I appreciate that, Darlene. That you've seen the Cults to Consciousness podcast I did. Shalise and Jonathan are really good-hearted people, and I'm really glad that they let me share my story on that platform. And I think it's very relative to what I've been talking about lately, and with my experience with Grant Cardone and the 10X community, and also that being tied to Scientology, which I just recently found out. So it was kind of mind-blowing to me, and I'm really glad I had a chance to talk about it. But I appreciate that. And so still rocking and rolling, still doing podcasts. Just did one with Matt Cox on his Inside True Crime. And so I'm actually really excited to see that episode come out. Me and Matt had a fantastic conversation, and I'm just super excited to see that one come out because it went by so fast. When you have conversations with people and like 2 hours goes by and you're like, holy shit, we've been talking for 2 hours, and like you still feel like you could just keep talking more and more and more. That was one of those kind of conversations. And so, it just really kind of opened up a can of worms in a positive way, and really talked about a lot of things. But I wanted to hop on here because one of the things that me and my buddy Matt, who's on Instagram Live right now, was talking about is, a lot of these comments that I'm getting when I'm doing these podcasts about my experience in the 10X community. People are like, is there any proof that he scammed you? Is there any proof that he's doing something illegal? It's like proof. You know how hard it is to get proof of something like that? I think people, and then when me and Matt were just talking just a few minutes ago, he brought up the point that, Grant and the 10X community. And again, I could talk about this all I want. I don't want to, so I guess I shouldn't be saying that about you, Matt. But so I said, he's like a modern day gangster. And so, or someone mentioned that to me, and I was like, holy shit, you're actually right. And to his point and to my point, it's like, just because Grant is not doing something illegal, it doesn't mean it should not be illegal. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people out here doing stuff that's very unethical. Deception and manipulation should definitely be illegal, in my opinion, especially if you're making false claims about, doing something with somebody's business, and then all of a sudden you just kind of ghost them and treat them like shit and don't have any customer service and don't want to help them. That's illegal. And there's a lot of other things like that and that I haven't talked about that are just flat out illegal. Yes. I've seen things illegally done in that organization within those few years that I didn't mention. It's really hard to capture my entire experience in a 3.5 or my 3.5 year experience in just like an hour and a half long interview. And to answer your question, Darlene, the topic right now is kind of just talking about, misguided mentors and self-serving entrepreneurs in general out there, just kind of doing things that are just unethical, unharmful, but may still be legal. You know what I mean? And so the point I'm trying to make is just because something's not illegal that's being done on paper doesn't mean it shouldn't be illegal. Doesn't mean it's ethical. What's up, Patrick? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. But my point to that is like, there's plenty of things that were freaking flat out wrong that were legal, right? Racism, sexism. Women never used to be able to vote, right? Wouldn't you consider that to be just messed up, right? But it was legal, right? Racism was legal. You guys realize, okay, you catch my drift here? You know what I'm saying? Just because something is not illegal doesn't mean it's wrong. So, um, but yeah, to your point, Darlene, you were saying that the money claims and other things he does are contrary to FTC rules. That I'm naive to, but I don't doubt it. You know what I mean? So when it comes to that, I really don't doubt it. And as far as the things I've been through and things I've seen in that organization, I am not shocked anymore. But yeah, the whole point of, not even really talking about Grant. I'm just talking about in general, lost leaders with false confidence, these misguided mentors. These people are out here deceiving, manipulating, making these grandiose claims to scale your business 30% in 90 days or whatever that is. And then once you get in, it's like, oh, okay, well, actually, the $40,000 program you bought is just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to have to buy this next $5,000 People Essentials. You're going to have to buy this next $5,000 Business Summit, and you're going to have to buy this other $5,000 program to kind of tie it all together. It's like this never-ending fucking road that they're creating. Like, you can never get enough. They can never get enough, and you're never going to get to the top. Which again reminds me of Scientology. So I didn't even know anything about Scientology. How crazy is that? On a separate note, how I was just talking to a newly acquainted friend, Natalie, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going on her podcast talking about Scientology as well. But how crazy is it that I was a part of that organization for several years and didn't even know that he was a Scientologist? I didn't even know what Scientology was until the month, 6 weeks ago or something, when I watched my first documentary. I was like, I keep hearing now that, don't everybody's telling me, didn't you know Graham was a Scientologist? No, I didn't. And sure, that's my fault. Maybe I should have looked into, people's religion, I guess. But the point is, I didn't have a religion myself either. And not all religion is great. The point is, I didn't believe in anything when I went into that. And of course, if I ever get involved with somebody financially or in a business aspect, of course, I'm going to look into how they operate, where their mindset is at a little bit deeper, where their morals and ethics are, more importantly, before I ever get into the same room with someone like that. So there's just a lot more, but there's just so many layers to this topic that people don't understand. A lot of people say, oh, well, yeah, it's because you got greedy that you fell into that. I'm like, the greed was like the last thing on the list of reasons how I got brainwashed into something like that. It really didn't have anything to do with greed. It was someone planting the seeds in my head that, like, I mentioned this when I was at the speaker event just this last weekend. I can clearly remember, driving down the road, listening to a book by Grant. It was an audio book, and I can hear him talking. And, at that time I was an entrepreneur doing well in my business. And I'm hearing him say stuff like, hey, you're not doing enough. I'm like, I'm not, you could be doing much more, right? I'm like, I could. You're operating at low levels. I'm like, I am. I'm like, a little bit of uncertainty is all it really takes. And I can confidently say that, without any embarrassment, is that, look, I had a little bit of uncertainty. I had a little bit of fear in me. Even as a successful business owner, I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to admit that. A lot of people are. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of strength in admitting that, like, you fall for stuff, and I can honestly say that it was the fear and the uncertainty, and all it just takes is a little bit for these guys like that to come into your life at the exact right moment. Of course, you can never do that to me now. Like, I'm so hyper aware of that, and my conscience is just so in tune that anybody trying to get in my head and trying to brainwash me and set me like that, like, I know myself so well now that couldn't happen to me. Now, also, well, I'm not gonna say that couldn't happen to me. I'm not naive to think that I'm above that, but my mindset is a lot stronger now, and I'm very well aware of that, especially having been through it. So, um, yeah, Darlene, you were saying the mindset. I like that you're engaging too, because it gives me something to actually kind of go off of. But you're saying the mindset training that these guys feed to their acolytes keeps them trying and spending. Then the affiliates link it's their fault when the affiliates think it's their fault when the guru's teachings fail them. Yeah, that's actually a big thing. And again, going back to Scientology, I didn't know this, but that's all they ever did. When something didn't work and there was a fail, or you're not getting the results that they promised you, it's your fault. It's because you weren't applying everything. And even if that was true, not saying there's not any scenarios where that's probably not true. There could be some scenarios where that may be true, but what kind of leader does that say? What does that say about the leader and the person that's actually making those claims when they automatically just go to you and saying it's your fault? There's no accountability with that. A sign of a good leader is one who immediately takes accountability and is like, look, um, if you're not getting the results I said you were going to get, then maybe there's something I did. Where did I go wrong? How can I help you? I'm sorry you feel that way. I want to make this right. Let's look deeper into this. And no, I'm not talking about buying and spending more and going deeper. What I'm saying is, like, how can I make sure you get the results I said you're going to get with what you paid me for to get? And that is the sign of a good leader. The ones that are just like, yeah, it's your fault. You didn't do what I told you. You didn't apply anything. That's just the sign of a weak leader and someone that just does not take any accountability. So keep your eyes out for that. And one of the things I talk about quite a bit is red flags. Yeah, exactly, Darlene. You're saying you are a low achiever because you aren't trying hard enough. Yeah, exactly. I've heard it all. It's really just, I guess, the term is victim blaming. Now, again, a lot of people hear me talk about this and they're like, "Oh, you sound like a victim. You sound like somebody who's hurt. You sound like you got buyer's remorse. You sound like this. You don't take accountability." Like I've heard it all, guys. Like, if you pay close attention, you'll find out that yes, I do take accountability for my part in what happened. But that doesn't disregard how I got to that point. And I'm not a victim. These things happen to me, or maybe I was a victim, but I'm not leaning on that. I'm not like living my life in a victim mentality. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm really telling people to pay attention to the red flags, which I'll talk about a little bit more here in a second. But the red flags is something all I'm saying to pay attention to. It's up to you to discern. I'm not trying to convince anybody either. I'm trying to just put my story out there. And if you are in this environment or one similar to that, or in the future end up in an environment like that, just pay attention to those red flags if they come up. Because if you ignore them or you disregard them and your conscience is not in tune with all that, then there's a good chance that you're pretty much gonna go down the rabbit hole just and become a person you never thought you would be. You're gonna end up doing things that you didn't want to do, and you're gonna end up becoming this person that someone else created. If you have that fear and that uncertainty and that doubt, you're pretty much allowing yourself. What's up, David? How you doing, brother? You're pretty much allowing somebody to invade your thought process with their mindset, with what they want you to think. And they've pretty much created the character they want you to be. And that's pretty damn scary. That's pretty scary. And again, it's quite fascinating to see, my poor girlfriend, when she met me, I was deep into this. And thinking about it now, she's such a trooper. She just seen me so engrossed in this and so involved, and she just knew, like, damn, he is brainwashed. And so she stuck with me, man. And I appreciate her for that. And thinking about that now, she must have a huge heart. And not only that, you know just cared about me. Let's put it that way. Enough to see it through with me until I actually broke through that experience. And thank God I finally did. It took a while. But I did. So I am grateful for that. And you gotta say, like, you gotta understand too, like, if I'm sitting here saying that I'm actually kind of grateful I went through that experience, because now I can actually share. I'm not just somebody from the outside looking in. I'm someone that's actually has been through it. I've seen it. This is validation. This is an experience that I witnessed. It's real. Like there's no denying it. And for the people that are like, oh, well, show me proof, bro. If you need proof, like you're not gonna get proof. Is all I'm saying. Like it's gonna be a while until you actually get proof. And so all I'm saying is just pay attention, look into it a little bit deeper. What's up, real Tom 10X? So if I had to guess, Tom, you're probably still part of the 10X community. So yeah, and I still have people that are in the 10X community that kind of still follow me, like Tom, and that's cool. You know, I'm not saying that there's not good people in that organization. What I'm saying is, I just think a lot of people don't talk about their losses too. I was just talking to Matt about this. It's like one of the bigger reasons people don't talk about their bad experiences with that community is because of embarrassment. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people that I've talked to, like in private, that have literally told me the truth, and they're like, "Yeah, I didn't get any value from that. It was the biggest fucking waste of $20,000, $40,000, or whatever, $10,000 I've ever spent." But they'll never admit that in public. They'll never put it out there like I'm doing. And that's what needs to happen a little bit more. There's a lot of people that will even lie about their results just for other reasons. There's so many layers to this that people just don't talk about. And so I'm talking about it. All right. There's a lot of people that just are like, will not even have the results that we were promised, and maybe convince themselves that, oh, maybe it was my fault and I didn't apply it. Or maybe they just felt like it was bullshit, but they don't want to admit it because they still want to be attached to that community. Wanting to fit in with that community, that's something that people don't like to talk about either. It's embarrassing. People don't like to admit it, or they might not even know that they're doing it for that reason. So, but it's happening. And what's funny is a lot of the people that have disconnected, I got a whole list of people. I was just talking to my buddy about this a second ago too. It's like, dang, some of these people that were deep in that community, they disconnected from them, which is funny. That's a Scientology term, disconnect. They actually separated. Let's just say separate. They separated themselves from that community. And I've tried to reach out to them. None of them will get back to me. None of them will speak about their experience. And I think it's because they have to sign a non-disclosure, a form. And that's all part of that fear nonsense. Like, where you can't speak about it. You know what I mean? You can't talk about your experience, good or bad, whatever, for 10 years after you leave this organization or something stupid like that. It's like, man, you guys really let a piece of paper put you in fear like that? That's pretty crazy to me. So yeah, I really, these days, I'm just encouraging people to break out of the fear that holds them back from speaking the truth, and really just getting in touch with themselves and being completely authentic. Because if you had a bad experience, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about your opinion about somebody. I don't give a shit how high level or high successful they make themselves out to be. Self-proclaimed billionaires, self-proclaimed millionaires. I've been in the room with enough times, lots of times, with enough people who are self-proclaimed billionaires and millionaires to know that they make mistakes too. They drink the Kool-Aid too. They can be brainwashed and manipulated just as easy as the person that's making $40,000 a year or $50,000 a year. It can happen to the best of them. So when people are out here trying to, cast judgment and make claims that, oh, well, you weren't successful, you weren't this, you're jealous, you're hating. On the contrary, I don't hate anybody. And I consider myself to be successful. And yeah, it's none of that. You could not. And I've made some good investments, outside of that organization that have actually paid off for me and are still doing well for me. So you can't put me in the box. But not only that, some of these other guys I'm calling out, like Andy Elliott and Wes Watson, right? They have the same business partners when it comes to a rev share partner, that is, with Brad Lee. And so it's quite funny that I'm calling guys like that out, and we are in connection in a little bit of a way, meaning I've made the same investment they have, right? So there's some level of credibility there. I've been in the self-development world for several years, enough to put myself on the map to actually talk about the things I'm talking about. And I'm qualified. Let's put it that way. I'm qualified to talk about the things I'm talking about. So, and I'm still in it. It's not like I got in, I got out, and I'm hurting. And it's funny because when I first started talking, because everybody knew me for the 10x community. When they see my face, all they seen was 10x because I was so engrossed in it. It's all I talked about. It's all I posted. And so you can imagine when I first publicly started coming out about that, people were reaching out to me that I've known for a while, and they're like, "Man, are you okay? Like, what's going on, dude? Like, what's going on?" I'm like, dude, I've never been better in my entire life. Like, this is the way I used to feel when I was like a kid, like out of the mental prison. That's something I want to talk about right now. This is an important topic. One of the speeches I gave at the last event I just spoke at was mental freedom or financial freedom versus mental freedom. I pretty much just asked the whole audience, like, are you mentally free? There's a lot of entrepreneurs and self-serving entrepreneurs and misguided mentors. All they talk about is financial freedom and passive income, right? You might have noticed a lot of them talk about those two things quite a bit. Nobody is really talking about mental freedom as much as the financial freedom or the passive income. And in my opinion, you shouldn't even be thinking about financial freedom or passive income until you get this right up here. Like, get your mentality right, get mentally free. Because right now, if you go into having money while you're in a mental prison, you're going backwards, in my opinion. And I've seen, again, going back to the amount of times I've been in a room with successful people, it can happen to the best of them. I've seen, including Grant. Like, I can remember, if you've ever locked eyes with him in person, you can literally see right into his soul and see that he is lost, hurting, misguided, not living the way he wants to, treating people like shit. It's very apparent what's actually going on. I'm not saying the guy's not inspirational. He can be inspirational, but I think he's using it for wrong. What's up, Julian? Jules, how you doing, brother? It's been a minute since we chatted, man. I'd love to reconnect with you, dude. And and that's another example, actually. Jules, I consider you to be a solid individual and hopefully still a friend, even though I voluntarily left that 10x organization and I want nothing to do with Grant. But the best value I got out of being in that community is pulling out some good relationships with people and like some good-hearted people. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's really the most value I got out of it. But going back to the proof of crimes, right? That whole thing where people are like, has he been proven to actually scam? Has he been proven to rip people off or all that? It's going to be really hard for people to prove it because of what is being done is actually legal. But then going back to my example of, people not, doing something that is legal, but is still not right, not ethical. And again, I use my examples of like slavery and women's rights. I know I'm giving you extreme examples, but I'm trying to make a point that just because things were legal doesn't mean it's right. And we've seen that happen in several different instances throughout history. And so, yeah, when my friend mentioned that he's like a modern day gangster, I was like, oh yeah, he's robbing without the guns, he said. And I was like, yeah, that actually makes sense. So yeah, the proof is going to be hard to reveal. But I always say that you can only treat people like shit for so long before all of that collapses, especially if you're growing a business. If you're growing a business on deception and manipulation, there's only so long you can do that. At some point, there's going to be enough people that really are tired of it, are tired of seeing other people get treated that way. And they're going to talk like it's happening, right? If you pay attention, it is happening. It's not a coincidence. It's karma, right? If you believe in karma, it's not even karma. It's just the way, right? If you believe in law of attraction, if you operate your life with a good heart and you care about people, you're going to be attracting really good relationships, generally speaking. If you don't operate your life that way, you're really just after people's money at all expenses, right? Not at the expense of ruining their life, at the expense of anything in your way, you just crushing or damaging. you're going to attract that in your life as well. So I do believe in that karma and that law of attraction thing. And so I'm pretty confident, like I said, that all that's going to take care of itself. But it is going to take guys like me to actually keep talking about stuff like this. And what's funny is people think I'm wasting my time, or like I spend a lot of time doing this. I do not spend a lot of time doing this. I really get called. It's a calling, and I'm just following that. Like, people are like, "Hey, dude, I've heard this. Like, I'd love to have you on my podcast." Or like, "Hey, dude, I'm glad you." I'll get random messages every day. Every day, people are reaching out to me, and they're like, "Hey, dude, I'm really glad you talked about that. Grant ripped off my grandma for 100 grand. Had her pull out her retirement, stuff like that." Like, I've heard every single type of story you can think of. So, coincidence? I'll say that again. Do you think that is a coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences. I really don't. It's really hard to believe in coincidences. Coincidence. That's a hard word to say over and over. I don't. It's hard to believe in coincidences after the things that have happened to me, particularly in the last 4 or 5 months. But yeah, Jackie, you were saying you can take 10 steps forward and 20 steps backwards so fast if you're struggling with your mental state, starting from square one. Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree with that as well. But yeah, so this was just when it comes to the YouTube live, this was just something I was trying to test out because, like I said, I want to kick off a podcast again. I really enjoy having conversations, particularly with people. I'm not too big on just talking to a camera and letting people watch it and watch me talk at them. I'm not too big on that. I really like dialogue between people, and so I think it's really cool that even people can engage, like all these people on here. Matt and Jackie and Danielle over on YouTube. And you were saying, Danielle, on your channel, you follow one of these gurus, Philip Johansson. He follows Grant and uses his methods. I've been calling it out for the last 8 months or so. Keep up the good work. Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that feedback. Thank you so much. And I am going to keep up the good work. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm called to do. It's not even about me, right? Like, people think I'm doing this for myself, or like I want attention or something like that. No, I'm doing this to help other people. And if just one person gets impacted by this, which I already know has already happened. I've gotten feedback from people reaching out to me and thanking me for sharing the story, because it's prevented them from getting involved in something that they may have done without actually looking into or hearing what I said and looked into it. So already I'm doing the work I'm supposed to do with this path. Like, this isn't my life. Like, I run businesses. I'm a single parent. I homeschool, have clients I got to help with their businesses. So this isn't my life. So this is just a part of my life. And I want to really make time for it and make sure that I'm serving other people and helping them and seeing, like I said, I'm not even trying to, I don't want an outcome. I just want people to hear what I'm saying and pay attention. Because really what I would like, if I did want an outcome, it's like, I just want to bring awareness to the red flags. That's all I'm saying. Most of us see the red flags. And if you ever heard my story, like I was saying on Cults to Consciousness, that Darlene said she watched, I talked about how I had a moment there. I believe I talked about that moment there anyway. I know I talked about that moment somewhere recently, but it was almost like I was being told to sit down and pay attention to all the red flags I ignored for the last few years. And it was like a flash, kind of like, your life flashing before your eyes, same type of thing. And it was like every single moment, I very vividly remember every single moment. And the reason for that is because I felt something wrong in that moment and I ignored it. And I talked myself into thinking that it was okay, or something's wrong with me, or there was some reason for me to justify it or ignore it. And so I just buried it, but it never went away. It was always a feeling that just felt bad. And so that moment I had where it was like, hey, pay attention to, felt like someone literally told me to sit down and pay attention to all the things I ignored. It flashed right before me, and it was very, very obvious what I needed to do next. And then, so yeah, the next week, I pretty much directly started calling him out and letting him know I'm not part of this organization anymore. Go ahead and just stop everything. Go ahead and stop all my 18 Cardone University accounts or whatever I had. Get rid of my Grant Cardone email, all that stuff. I don't want to be part of this any longer. So yeah, we just need more people out there talking about their experience, and that's pretty much it. I mean, nobody should be lying about anything. Matt was just talking about this. As long as you're out here telling the truth, sharing your experience, that's really all this is about. It's not about trying to make somebody look bad. It's really just about bringing awareness, waking people up, and telling them to pay attention to the things that they already know that they've probably ignored. But yeah, Jackie, you were saying you're learning a lot from my live clips, and I'm expiring, and I talk real shit, and I love that you're a true vegan. Thank you so much. Well, the vegan thing, not everybody gets down on, and that's okay. Like, I'm not a judgmental guy. Like, I'm not here to judge people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do that. Like, we're all human beings, and even if I thought that that's a bad decision, that's people's own decision to make. I'm not saying, again, my approach to enlightening people and giving them information, it's not forceful. It's like, this is my opinion, which is why I want to start this podcast, is because it's a place to talk about what I believe in, my opinions, share my thoughts, and people know what I'm about. Like, if you don't like the things I'm talking about, then you don't have to come on my page. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of setting that up. And so I'm super excited to kick that off, just so I can be able to kind of freely talk about the things. And not only that, get some guests on there and kind of provoke some thoughts and have some really thought provoking dialogue, more specifically. What's up, Daniel? Uh, Good for you popping in here, man. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to hop off here. Not quite sure when I'll be doing this podcast, but I am going to have to figure out how to pop somebody in on the live stream, or I might have to actually, not quite sure how to do this yet. So kind of working it out. More particularly, obviously the Instagram lives are very straightforward, but when it comes to the YouTube live streams, not quite sure if there's a way to have a person on here without using a streaming software. Again, times have changed. I haven't done the podcasting thing for a few years, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm sure with all the resources I have, people are going to point me the right direction, and also kind of, just present me and give me pointers, which has already been happening. The support from people is truly amazing. And I'm truly grateful and thankful to have the type of people in my corner that are knowledgeable in areas that I'm not, to really put themselves out there, give me some advice, put themselves out to help personally, things like that. That's what it's really about. And again, going back to like attracting the type of people that you are behaving like, I believe in that. You know what I mean? The reason why a lot of good-hearted people that actually care about others are gravitating towards me, why I keep meeting just phenomenal people, is because I treat people right. I care about people. Like, it's about relationships, and I'm not forming relationships because in the back of my mind I want something from them. All I want is a relationship. Nothing out of it other than just to connect with people and impact and add value and just share experiences. That's pretty much it. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Danielle shows that I truly care and have empathies for others. Yeah, totally. And some people miss that. A lot of people hear me talk and they're like, yeah, it sounds like you're hateful. And it's like, man, you really don't know who I am, man. Like, pay a little closer attention to how I speak, the words coming out of my mouth, um, you know, the feeling, more importantly, the energy behind what I'm saying, and you'll find out that I have a lot of compassion for people, and I'm not here to attack, judge, or really hate on anybody, right? So, but anyways, I appreciate everybody who popped in on here and chatted with me and engaged in the conversation. Keep your eyes peeled, more particularly on the YouTube channel, as I really try to smooth out the rough edges on getting the podcast fired up. I think really the only thing to smooth out is the ability to get a second person on the live with me without using a streaming software. I don't know if that's possible. Someone told me to use OBS Studios, which I guess I could try that. Yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, yeah, if somebody watches this, and again, going back to the resources and people putting themselves out there, if they know how to stream with two people on the YouTube live, particularly without using a streaming software, I would love to hear that advice, and I'd love to do that. That's my goal actually. So, anyways, thanks for popping in here. Home and Garden, what's up? How's it going? You popped in here as I was getting ready to hop off, but that's okay. The next time I do a live, be sure to come in here, and we'll provoke some more thoughts. Cosmos 20, you'd like to see a guitar playing clip. Thanks for your insight. Hey, thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, if you'd like to, I don't know if you follow my Instagram, but every now and then I'll post some clips. You know, I've been playing like technical death metal for the last 15 years, 16 years actually. Just because I play a few different styles, but that was the style I gravitated towards just because it's so complex and rewarding. And a lot of people have misconceptions about that genre of it being evil or, you know, whatever. But I really just appreciate the musicianship behind it. But yeah, I've lately gravitated towards more clean playing and some like jazzy style guitar playing. So yeah, but you could always keep your eye out. If you don't follow my Instagram, you should follow that, because every now and then I'll bust out some songs that me and my girlfriend are working on and some clips on my stories and stuff like that. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. So absolutely. Hopefully somebody got value just out of this short little conversation. I intend on hopping on here and getting a lot more active. So I appreciate everybody who's paying attention and gets any value out of any of the words coming out of my mouth. So anyways, take care. Everybody have a good Monday, and kick the week's ass. That's what I'll tell you if I was going to give you some inspiration. So I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.